Things are different now, Kyle. A lot more expected out of you, buddy. Hey, welcome into the drive. It's a Friday edition.
Do you know what I did when the lowdown was filling in?
Everything, probably.
No, I came in at 5-ish, right about when I normally get here,
Yeah.
and then I took a nap.
Yeah? Wow. Why?
Because Damien does stuff.
I see. Wow, that's low on a Friday, too. Because
Low down.
Damien does stuff. Yeah. I wrote the rundown.
You did.
Thank you.
You did.
Thank you. 100% of the research today for today's show done by me last night.
Well, no, I've done research too.
I don't see any. I do see you booked a guy. I still don't know what his name is. It's not in the rundown. That's all right, though.
I'm going to be totally honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I've known this guy and I've worked with this guy for 10 years.
Yeah.
And I only know his name is Payne. Like the last name, like Thomas Payne.
Right?
That's all I know.
His name's Payne?
Yep.
So we're going to find out at some point what his name is?
Hope so. I'm gonna text him right now and be like, dude, what do we call you?
We're awesome. Mr. T, what do you think? Do you have an opinion on everything? Mr. T can always weigh in on all kinds of different things.
Our remote cameras inside the dressing rooms.
Would you care to comment on how you plan to fight Balboa? What's your strategy?
Don't need any. Balboa's so predictable and stupid. The man comes straight ahead. He's tailor-made for me, and he's gonna
What's your
get
prediction?
hurt.
What's your prediction for the fight, then?
Prediction?
Yes, prediction.
Pain.
That's my prediction. We'll just have him on. That was a lot of work I just did for just a teensy little payoff. A little tiny payoff right there. It's Friday, so I don't care. I think studies show our Friday show are far looser than the other 4 days of the week because we're always so sewn up Monday through Thursday. It's one of those times where I'm kind of looking forward to the weekend. We have the Super Bowl. We have a lot of stuff happening. We got a Kings game tomorrow. But I'm also not because when I get off work today, I'm driving my wife to the airport. She's going down south to handle some family business. It's going to be myself and the children until Sunday night. And as of right now, this is a true story. I do not know where we are sleeping tomorrow night. I don't know if we're going back to my house, if we're going to be in the Airbnb we're currently in, or if we are going to be in some other Airbnb. It all depends on what the insurance says, whether or not my house is, quote, livable. Or right now, everything in half of the house has been moved out of the places they knocked down in my house. So living room, family room, dining room table, everything is just piles of stuff. You have to literally unzip and go through plastic curtains to get to my bedroom, of which the bathroom and shower are no longer existent. You can't access the kitchen. The water is currently off, so hopefully they'll turn it back on. I think, knowing me, mainly because I don't want to go through the ordeal of packing and moving and then unpacking everything that we have, I'm probably just going to stay in the Airbnb until Monday when my wife gets home. And that way, if we have to move, she has to do it because she's the packer. My wife is the official Green Bay Packer. She's able to pack bags in ways I can't. I just throw stuff in there and like semi-fold it. She does things like rolls up T-shirts and sticks them in shoes and has this whole like Tetris system where literally she can take, I would pack 2 bags and she can fit those 2 bags into 1 bag that I pack. I don't want to handle it. There are certain things I'm good at that my wife is not. None come to the top of my head, but there are. And there are certain things that I'm good at that she's good at that I'm For those of you asking what happened, which a lot of you are, sorry, I thought I'd explain this. There was a leak behind my toilet in my master bathroom upstairs that apparently went on for a long time, but it was so tiny nobody knew, and it built up in the ceiling and then completely crashed into the room below that, which was our kind of our office / storage room. And yeah, there was mold in the walls, all this stuff. They had to take out the walls, scrub everything, dry it off, and then spray it with some crazy chemical that smells horrible. So, and now we're waiting for the contractor to come. The mold people finished. And now we're waiting for the contractors to come and do the building stuff, but they can't even start for another week and a half. They can't start until a week from this coming Tuesday. So for the kids, they love this. They love it. This is like great for them. The house we're in now, they have their rooms have TVs in them, which we don't do that at our house. They don't get TVs.
Hey, real quick.
Yeah.
Since you've gone over this, we're going to do a new thing.
Okay.
Because you stink at getting to breaks.
Yes.
Check that. We stink at getting to breaks.
I'll take the biggest part of the blame.
No, it's on both of us.
55-45.
I'll take the most part. 50-50. We'll split.
Right.
So I'm going to give you a 5-second countdown clock now.
5 second?
Well, I'm going to give you your normal, hey, 1 minute.
1 minute.
And then I'll give you in the IFB, I'll be like, hey, 30 seconds.
Okay.
And if you're just talking and we're not going to get to the break on time, you're going to hear this. See?
Wow.
Perfect.
That's good.
You're going to hear, you hear this.
Well, that's not annoying.
Yeah, so
Sounds like an explosion.
when it gets to the end, I'm hitting the button and we're going to break. I don't care if you're in the middle of
ranting about my sick child.
Yes.
Yeah, going to break. See, what happened yesterday is that we had sort of a consultant thing happen, and we got really good grades for the show. Like everything, ratings are great. You guys are great, but we get graded every once.
Number 12 audience.
Number 12 audience in the entire country. Highest in the station, by the way.
Yes.
By the way. But the one thing they all agreed on is that we're terrible going to break. And that sometimes we'll just roll on and roll through breaks. We're supposed to break at a very specific time. And there are things I can't get into. I don't think I'm allowed to that have to do with ratings and the way things are done mathematically. But apparently we lose, I don't know, quarter hours or this or that. I don't know how it works. But we lose ratings by by going to break late. And I just get going. It's my own fault. I'm a rambler. So I asked Kyle to devise a plan. And I told you, so that's the plan you've devised. Because I said, listen, the only exception, I don't care. I'm not cutting off a guest.
Right.
But I can do better by, for example, when we have Sean Salisbury on. And Sean's usually very short with his answers. But occasionally he'll go, he and I are very similar in how we talk. So with Sean, instead of having the interview end at 7:55, we'll have the interview end at 7:52, and then it'll still probably end at 7:55. So there will be exceptions, but if you hear me in the middle of something, in fact, we're gonna practice it in this segment. If you hear me, I want you to do the normal countdowns.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you hear me in the middle of something and then we go to break and commercials just start, don't be alarmed. Also, if you hear that beep, beep, which we might have to. Okay, so I just got the 1 minute warning from Kyle. If you're watching at KHTK.com, you can see this. I just got the 1 minute warning, which means we're at about 45 seconds. We may have to adjust the sounder because it sounds very much to me like an EAS test. I think we should look more for the wah, wah, wah kind of deal. What are you in, radio production edits? Whooshes?
No, I'm on YouTube.
We have a fun show for you today. Kristaps Porzingis was traded. We'll get into that one, and I think Kyle and I will argue about that. It is also Super Bowl Friday, which means we're going to talk about all things game this weekend and finally give you our predictions. Sean Salisbury is at 7:35. Okay, so Kyle just said I got to go. So this is where I would break, but I'm just going to keep going. And when we get, I want you to run through everything. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140.
Nobody loves sports more than Alexa.
That's right. Tell it like it is.
Now you can put the most passionate sports fan, Alexa, to work for you.
Middleton now in front of Ibaka. Another good defender. Three-pointer. Middleton got it. Rattler drops for Chris Middleton. A three-pointer.
The All-Star reserves were announced. As expected, no Sacramento Kings. We'll talk about that. Nobody got screwed. The closest one to get screwed would be Buddy Hield. That's the best case any King has is Buddy. But no. I'll tell you who got screwed is Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert got massively screwed by this whole thing. And we'll talk about big giant snubs later. Luka Doncic did not make the team. You would have had to have booted probably Klay Thompson for Buddy.
Buddy should have gotten in over Klay Thompson.
I disagree. I disagree with
Why?
that. Because they're very similar offensively this year. I looked at it yesterday. Go ahead. But then there's that other side of the ball, which is defense. And I understand, and Rudy Gobert is a shining example of the fact that defense does not get you in. But I can't play both sides of that ball. I think defense should get you. I think defense should be counted. I think Rudy Gobert should have gotten in. I think it's atrocious that he didn't. And Klay Thompson's a better defender than Buddy Hield. Klay Thompson's a borderline. Klay Thompson should have already been on an all-defensive team, at least a second team. So they're very close. If you just went by offense alone, and you did the player A, player B, you didn't account for the fact that Klay Thompson is on the best team in the NBA and that Buddy Hield's on a 500 team, which should count. If you didn't account for all that and you just looked at a player A, player B and their numbers, yeah, I think Buddy Hield would get picked by – it would be very, very close. I'm not mad at it. Buddy Hield will be on all-star teams. We'll get into that. And then later today, Kyle and I will play the role of LeBron James and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Is that how we're going to do it? One of us will become one of them, or are we going to
I think that's how we have to do it.
I think so, too. So we will Eunice will flip a coin. And Kyle, you're the road team, so you go ahead. You call heads or tails.
Sure.
And then you will have the choice of being Giannis Antetokounmpo or, well, no, you would be LeBron James because he is the number one vote getter, which is why he gets the first pick in the draft. We'll pick our teams later. Sound okay?
Yep.
And then you guys can decide whose all-star team would beat the other. All right, number 2.
Porzingis left wing three. That's where they go, and he buries it. KP with 18. The Knicks with 11 threes tonight.
Well, we're going to talk about this quite a bit today. It is your top story, really. Kristaps Porzingis is no longer a New York Knick. He becomes a Dallas Maverick. And what do you know? Dirk Nowitzki, who is familiar, I think, a little bit with talent from Europe. A little bit. As he watches Dirk Nowitzki go bye-bye, he now has perhaps the 2 best European players in the entire league. I'm trying to think. Who am I forgetting? Well, Rudy Gobert would be one, right?
Manu Ginobili.
He's got a nice core there with Luka Doncic at 19. And I believe Porzingis is 23. I have questions about this trade.
Yeah.
And the temptation here is to rip the Knicks.
It sure looks like on the surface they traded a 23-year-old superstar for cap space.
I think on the surface, and for a guard that they probably should have drafted instead of Frank. I can't ever say his last name.
Ntilikina.
Ntilikina? You 100% positive on that though?
Ntilikina.
Yeah. I mean, really, you are?
I am. If gun to my head, that's how I'm pronouncing it.
That's how you're pronouncing it, but do you think that's correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think it's Ntilikina. I think is how you spell his name.
We'll look at this trade. And I got a little bit of a not so fast here. I have some questions about this trade.
You have a Corso?
I do have a Florida State's Lee Corso on this trade, and I'm absolutely willing to talk about it. And you and I texted a little bit back and forth yesterday about this whole deal. I will say this. We got to move on. I think Scott Perry has put the Knicks in a position to where if one or two things go their way, you will be able to look back at this trade and say, this was the moment the Knicks got really good.
Yep.
They
sign Kyrie and Kevin Durant this summer.
They signed Kyrie and Kevin Durant. You've got draft picks. There's a lot of things that have to happen, but I don't hate this trade. Number 3.
You can't relax for one play. It comes down to execution. Once the game plan's been installed, that part of it's finished, and you gain confidence through practicing things and watching them work. Therefore, you can play with some anticipation. And if you can do that, it's a good feeling to have entering the game, and that's where you always want to be. And then, once the game kicks off, you got to call the best plays you think are going to help us win, and we got to go out and execute them.
This is Tom Brady, who appeared on this show a couple days ago, Patriots Wire. Also quarterbacking the New England Patriots this weekend. The talk is over. The fun little interviews are over. Everybody goes into their own little world now. The team step back, focus completely on football, and in about, 60 hours from now, give or take, we're going to have ourselves a final football game of the season.
Wild how fast it goes.
It really did go fast this year, didn't it?
I think we say that every year, though.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a surprise for you, by the way.
Okay.
That I meant to show you earlier, and then we got wrapped up in other stuff.
All right.
But, can you just turn down your side there?
Happy to turn down my side.
Yeah, here you go. Ready?
De'Aaron Far.
That's Katie Christensen. Now, that's the clipped version. Do we have the entire version that we can play later?
Boy, do I.
Oh, you have it right now.
Yeah.
This was Katie Christensen. Thanks to our good buddy John Wilson for posting this over at NBC Sports California. Sometimes our tongues get tied, and unfortunately, Katie's got tied in the wrong way.
124 mark, that's when De'Aaron Fox scored his first bucket.
She actually responded to the tweet and said, "Did I say that?" Yeah, you did, Katie.
De'Aaron Fox.
We have it right there.
That's going to live for a long time.
Really long time.
Really long time. It's one of those times I really miss having Katie in here.
Yeah.
She would just get red in the face and get so mad.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And every time she talked, I would just...
Every single time. Maybe sometime next week. Well, we have to do we haven't done a Katie celebration in a while. We're going to have to go back through some of her bloopers. Oh.
Nope. Too soon.
That's way too soon. But that's a better sounder.
Yeah.
For us going to break.
Yeah.
That is a much better sounder. I approve of that. We're going to talk about the Kristaps Porzingis trade in the next segment. We're going to draft our All-Stars at 7 o'clock.
I think we need to become the players.
I agree with you. But I don't think we need to do imitations.
No.
I'm not changing clothes.
No, definitely not.
But yes, we become the players. One of us will become LeBron James. One of us, what was that, 10 seconds, or are you just waving at me?
It's just jazz hands.
Sean Salisbury will join us at 7:35. Okay.
Super Bowl 53 featuring
God.
the Los Angeles.
Hey, it's Kyle Madsen with your top stories on Sports 1140. There was a shakeup in the NBA yesterday. The New York Knicks dealt Kristaps Porzingis, Courtney Lee, Trey Burke, and Tim Hardaway Jr. to the Dallas Mavericks in exchange for DeAndre Jordan, Wes Matthews, Dennis Smith Jr., and a pair of first-round picks. Porzingis hasn't played since tearing his ACL early last February. Julius Peppers is retiring from wreaking havoc on NFL quarterbacks. The 39-year-old announced his retirement after 17 NFL seasons. He wrapped up his career with 159 and a half sacks, 9 Pro Bowls, and 3 All-Pro nods. And ESPN reported yesterday that the Padres entered the fray for free agent outfielder Bryce Harper. The two sides met in Las Vegas on Thursday. San Diego joins the Phillies, White Sox, and Nationals among teams pursuing the 26-year-old All-Star. It's 6:30. Plan now to watch the big game at Sammy's Restaurant, the best food and drink inside Stone's Gambling Hall, I-80 at Antelope Road. Those are your top stories. Now back to the drive on Sports 1140 KHTK.
to call The Drive, 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can also text them at 441140. They're ready to believe you.
Maybe.
I have a quick question. Is this
a
a wrestler or Freddie Mercury?
Who?
This pop in front of me here.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what any of these little. Those are the lowdowns. Little. What are they? The
Pops.
Funko Pops.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're all wrestlers. Oh, isn't there a Black Panther? Isn't there a Black Panther in here?
Yeah. They're right over there.
Is that okay.
Yeah, they have Black Panther and Killmonger over there.
Yeah.
But this really, from my angle, looks like Freddie Mercury.
Yeah, it might be. I'm
gonna come look.
Oh, a Freddie.
It's really killing me.
I don't. There's no mustache.
Oh, there is not a mustache. No. Okay, well then it's not Freddie Mercury.
Could be Freddie Mercury.
That.
Well, there was a time where he didn't have a mustache.
Yeah, but not when he had short hair.
From the 209, be warned, the Lowdown did an all-star draft between Jason and Damian, and it has infamously become their worst segment ever, according to both. That makes me want to do it more.
See, the problem is we also did an all-star draft, and I thought it went fine.
Yeah, exactly.
You just have to have a creative spin on it. If you're just we're picking the players, then yeah, it's going to be a disaster.
Thrown at the Lowdown by Kyle. We'll be working with him again in a couple weeks. You might want to be careful there.
I take that back. It was an awesome segment.
Yeah, Kristaps Porzingis trade is interesting to me. It came out of nowhere. Apparently, there was a meeting between Porzingis's peoples, perhaps Porzingis himself, and Knicks management. That meeting left the Knicks with the impression he wanted to be traded. The meeting lasted less than 5 minutes. According to ESPN, New York had several offers for him before completing the deal with Dallas. That right there is very fishy to me. I don't buy that for a second. I don't buy that you're going to get a trade demand in a 5-minute meeting, and then an hour later you have a deal that's complicated worked out.
So here's Sam Amick, and Chris pointed this out on the Lowdown yesterday. But Sam Amick just wrote a piece.
I was just going to reference that.
About how difficult it is to set up a trade.
Right.
And notice the language of Woj's, the first tweet. So if people weren't following this, Adrian Wojnarowski reported at, let's call it noon, that Kristaps Porzingis, the Knicks got the impression that Kristaps Porzingis wanted to be traded.
Right.
Was the specific language.
Right.
And then by 12:30, there was a trade structure in place, and by 12:45, the trade was done.
Yeah.
Like, that's weird to me.
Well, let's note your phraseology, and what you mean by that, I assume, is that if you're saying the Knicks got the impression, that implies that it's the leak coming from the Knicks side. In other words, Porzingis' camp isn't going to leak to Woj.
Yeah.
The Knicks got the impression. It would be Porzingis' camp got the impression. So the Knicks leaked that.
What this smells like is the Knicks, for a long time, were shopping Porzingis, and they finally hammered out a deal. And then at the last second, we're like, oh, this is going to look bad if we just trade Porzingis.
Right.
Let's leak that, because they can't say he requested a trade, because then he's going to counter with, what?
Right.
No, I didn't.
And he went on his Instagram yesterday, his Instagram stories, and an all-black screen with white lettering said, "The truth will come out," smiley face. Obviously he doesn't agree with the portrayal the Knicks are putting out there. According to reports, the Knicks had several offers. They made a phone call to New Orleans, obviously, about Anthony Davis. That didn't go anywhere. A lot of Kings fans asking about any potential Kings involvement. Why wasn't Vlade on the phone and all that? I'll tell you this. I can guarantee you, especially because of the relationship between Scott Perry and Vlade Divac and the fact that they're familiar with each other, there were conversations. There had to have been conversations.
There was at least like a, hey, this is what's up.
I would also guarantee you that those conversations probably stopped at De'Aaron Fox along with picks. And Vlade just ain't going to do that. That's a guess on my part, but that's where that's going to go. So if you're wondering, well, why didn't we make that deal? Well, okay, you can make that deal, but you're probably not going to have De'Aaron Fox, at least one other core person, whether it's Buddy or Bogey or Bagley or Giles, and you're probably also going to lose a couple of first-round picks down the road.
Yes. It was going to be someone like Fox or Bagley or it had to have been somebody like that.
I think when you look at the deal and how it was Dennis Smith Jr., I think it would have been Fox. It would have
That
been
makes
Fox,
sense.
and
That
then you
makes
build
sense.
the rest of the
Okay.
trade around him.
That makes sense.
Now,
And yeah, that's not something.
when you look at this deal, let me just say from the Dallas angle, okay? Dallas gave up 2 future first-rounders, one of them heavily protected. They gave up a lot of expiring, Wes Matthews, DeAndre Jordan. Here's the very simple deal with Dallas. If we look at Porzingis and Luka Doncic having a 10-year career together where both are relatively healthy and they're able to bring in 1 or 2 other guys to surround them, Dallas wins. Dallas is fine. This deal is absolutely fine for Dallas. They don't, Dennis Smith Jr., they're going to need another point guard, but obviously Kristaps Porzingis is their big ball handler. And that's how they're putting that. That's fine. Dallas wins the trade, or at least Dallas, there is a scenario where both sides can win this deal. But people are really quick to kill the Knicks for this deal.
We know why, though, right?
Well, first off, because they're the Knicks.
Right.
Secondly, because historically, it doesn't matter if you got 8 things. It's the superstar in the deal that counts.
They did this cap clearing because now they have, so the whole thing is they have cap space for 2 max contracts. Mm-hmm. And when you look at this free agency class, it's like, yeah, they can. And the thought is that Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant are going to go there. But they also thought that they were getting LeBron and Dwayne Wade too, and they botched it.
We've seen this with the
because
Lakers
James
too.
Dolan is a buffoon.
James Dolan is a buffoon, but I don't think Scott Perry is a buffoon.
Sure.
And I think what Scott Perry was looking at is that I have this asset. This asset doesn't want to be here. He's really never wanted to be here. The back and forth, and I'm not saying Kristaps Porzingis and his camp don't have a right to question the Knicks. They're a poorly run franchise.
Really badly run.
Really badly run. They obviously didn't want to be there. And the longer it went, Porzingis isn't playing this year, wasn't going to play this year. The longer it went, the lower that value was going to go. Perry had to do something. So what does Scott Perry do? He took that asset. He now has a decent war chest of picks. He now has open cap space. And he has a point guard that's young and good, just had a triple-double a couple of days ago, that he can help. It's not going to build the team around Dennis Smith Jr., but he's certainly going to be a cog. But here's the other thing in that whole deal. I don't necessarily trust Kristaps Porzingis, and that's where I have a big worry about this.
Right.
You're talking about a guy who in 3 seasons hasn't come. What did he play? 72 his rookie year?
72 and 66 were his first 2 seasons, and 48 before he got hurt.
I made a list here. He's currently out right now with a torn ACL. He also has had elbow bursitis that has forced him to miss games. He has had Achilles issues that has forced him to miss games. You're talking about an abnormally large NBA player, not a 6'10" guy, not a 7'3", 240 pounds.
And he moves.
Historically speaking, big men with lower body issues don't tend to get better over time. Now, again, if he's relatively healthy and he plays for the next 10 years as Mr. Unicorn, go for it. But you're also talking about a guy who is a unicorn because, listen, let's just be really clear. He can block shots as good or better than anybody in the league.
Mm-hmm.
He can hit a 3.
Like 40% of them. Like he's a
he's
good
a legit
three-point
shooter.
Right.
I didn't mean like he could hit a singular 3.
Right.
I mean, he can hit the 3. Not a good rebounder for his size, but I also think a lot of that's because he's able to play outside. He's not banging down low. But it's that health situation.
Sure.
So I think if you take out the fact that it's the Knicks and you look at it more like it's Scott Perry, who has a very good reputation here in Sacramento for a reason, I like this deal for them. I think he got – lastly, Kyle, you're also dealing with a camp that is notoriously difficult to deal with. By the way, his camp promptly informed Dallas, we intend to sign the qualifying offer this summer and go full free agent. That doesn't mean he's not going to stay with Dallas.
Right.
But that certainly worries him for Dallas.
Sure.
Because now it's an open market.
Yeah. The other important thing to your point here is that Phil Jackson tried trading Kristaps Porzingis.
Sure.
Like, this wasn't out of nowhere. This has been kind of simmering for a while. And it might be because the Knicks medical staff looked and they were like, dude, we're never getting more than 50 games out of this guy.
Well, and we've got a couple of questions on the Jiffy Lube text line as we go to break, Kyle, saying, I thought you couldn't trade an injured player. Well, you cannot trade an injured player unless both sides agree to the trade and to waive medical. So, yes, you can acquire an injured player, but you have to waive it. If players are thought to be healthy, you've got to pass physicals. We'll come back with some Super Bowl quotes next. Right here on Sports 1140 KHK. Damn it.
The Drive continues now.
I'll get some Super Bowl stuff here. We're not on Radio Row. That was a nice fade, Dave. That was a educated decision to not be on Radio Row, go all the way to Atlanta and deal. We talked about it. In the end, it was too much crap.
Apparently, DeAndre Wilder was walking around.
We had DeAndre Wilder on about 3 years ago on Radio Row. He's a Radio Row veteran. Truly.
Could have had George Kittle. He was there.
Okay, but here's the thing.
Deshaun Watson. No, they're required to stop.
Nah. Just because they're there doesn't mean. And I got really tired of being mid-market Sacramento and watching these guys walk around with their handlers, and they go New York, L.A., Chicago, Dallas, Houston, and, whoever our producer was that year be running around begging them, and then we end up with, no offense, but Brandon Lang comes on, seeing LaDainian Tomlinson rolling around, and we end up getting, Jonathan Philahoffer, who blocked
Jonathan
for him.
Philahoffer, for sure.
It's been a while since we heard from our good friend Mike Francesa, who is a legend in this business. Yeah. Mike and the Mad Dog, excuse me. He's on Radio Row. Shout out to Back After This on Twitter, who puts together all these clips.
Back After This.
Here's Mike Francesa before going to Radio Row this year, and then on Radio Row this year. You'll get the point.
But we'll do a little bit of everything. We'll do a couple things. Different. We haven't overloaded the shows with a bunch of, just a parade of players. Because listen, that's what this has become. It's become an economy of players who want to get paid to hawk products, and that's what they do. And they just line up and hawk products. Well, we're not very much into that stuff, so that's not what we're going to be about as we get ready to hit Atlanta. So we'll try to see what other interesting things we can kind of hook onto.
A buddy of mine turned me on to this product. I tried it for like 3 or 4 months, and I noticed the difference, and I've been taking it ever since.
And they just line up and hawk products. Well, we're not very much into that stuff, so. X-Tech, you wear these guys yet?
Man, I switched out my pads last year.
And they just line up and hawk products. Well, we're not very much into that stuff, so. What do you got going on now?
Okay, today I'm partnering with Genesis. I got to drive this car for about 2 weeks.
It's a nice-looking car.
It's a G70.
It's a nice-looking car.
It's got G80s, G90s.
And they just line up and hawk products. Well, we're not very much into that stuff, so. All right, tell me what you're talking about, guys.
We're talking about Pure Sports Recovery.
And they just line up and hawk products. Well, we're not very much into that stuff, so. Tell me about this thing you got going on.
Oh, my, your son, your kids are going to love this.
Yeah, because I know they play their buddies, and I didn't even realize, Merrill, that there was Mad Money, and they play each other, and I didn't even realize this stuff went on, to be honest. And they just line up and hawk products.
Merrill Hodge, who
we're
thinks
not very
CTE
much
is
into that
fake.
stuff.
Yes, that Merrill Hodge, not the other Merrill Hodge.
Right.
All right, what's going on? What do you got going on here?
Well, I'm representing Aztec Pass.
Oh, yeah, I know them well. I know the guys well, from New Jersey.
Yeah, they're from New Jersey.
Up in my neck of the woods, so I know them well.
There's like another minute and a half of this.
My gosh.
All from Radio Row this week.
We're very much not into that.
Come on, Mike. Now, truth be told, don't get me wrong. I'm not ripping him for doing that. That's what you do.
You're right. It's part of the gig.
That's why everybody's there. They're getting free radio advertising.
Right.
Those
guys are getting
5-minute interview.
Paid.
Yeah, and they're getting paid a lot. You hire Joe Montana, let's say. You pay him buku dollars, and he goes on every major market and morning and afternoon drive. He does, so what do you think about the Super Bowl? And you, who's better, you or Tom Brady? And then at the end, it's tell me about, dude wipes or whatever it is.
Deshaun Watson, Texans quarterback, was on with Jim Rome, who's on after us. And I always hear the first little bit of Rome while I, do a bunch of stuff after the show and you leave.
Get out of Dodge. I'll have you know, pal, I got home yesterday.
The joke is that I always leave before you.
Thank you. I don't even know why I fought you on that.
Yeah,
why did I fight you on that?
I have no idea.
Is that
yeah, I'm gone well before you every day. But
for you.
But he goes, he was on for a product, and they spent the last 30 seconds of the interview like, so this new flavor of product's out. Oh, I love this flavor. Oh, it's a great flavor. They're making this just for the Super Bowl, special for the Super Bowl. Get it today. Are you kidding me, Deshaun? This is the best flavor of this drink I've ever had. Clones. Get to the store today, light up those phones, and let me know what you think of this new flavor.
I don't even want to mess with it. That's fantastic, Kyle. That's really good work.
Listen to a lot of Rome.
You do. I mean, I listen to a lot of things too. I can't do impressions. That's dead on. But you do. You become shills. I want to talk to LaDainian Tomlinson. Okay, I'll talk about Jock Itch. That's fine. Our good friend Matty George did this song about Luka Doncic. I don't know if you heard it. But apparently other cities...
I started listening to it 6 days ago. I haven't quite gotten through it yet.
The whole thing. Buddy Hield's now 40. Well, apparently other cities took after Matt George and thought, you know what, we can do our own songs. Yeah, it happened.
That's what he gets for going on Out of Market Podcast.
So these people in New Orleans, decided to do a song called Saints Got Robbed based on The Call. And I give you a quick like it or spike it. This has been around for a minute, but I haven't heard it.
You know what else is only going to be around for a minute?
This show?
The rest of this segment.
All right. Let me start it now then, and you give me your thoughts.
Saints got robbed. Who that? Saints got robbed, and we want a rematch.
You haven't heard the verse.
10-3, we were coming for that second ring. Super Bowl dream shattered by a referee. A call blindfolded Sandra Bullock could have seen. We had the Rams by the horns, now they walking free. Goodell, what the hell are you doing? How much more of the NFL could you possibly ruin? There's a foul play, and I'm ready to call it. Refs line in their pockets when Commish opens his wallet.
Saints got robbed, where's the flag?
Where's that siren now, Kyle, when we need it? God. But Saints fans are like, oh, God's the best.
Line in his pockets.
Super Bowl bound, and they had it in the bag. Saints got robbed. Who that? The refs rigged the game, and we want a rematch.
Back with our all-star draft right here on Sports 1140 KHTK.